have now come to the end of 2019, which means I think I've seen almost, I think it's 79 new releases this year, which I was very surprised by. My goal going into 2019 was to go to the cinema 100 times. I passed that. I got 112, I think I went to the cinema at the time. My goal for 2020 will probably be 100 movies. I don't know if I'll be able to pass that. I'm going to count Netflix in that. But so far this year, I've seen 78 new releases, and that's including some Netflix movies. So I think I'll stop today. I'll rank all my top 10 favourite movies this year. And if you like all this kind of stuff, I do daily reviews, rankings, and a haul at the end of every month. So if you like all that kind of stuff, click that subscribe button. But anyways, let's go on to number 10. And coming in number 10, I've got Marriage Story. I didn't hear a lot about this movie. I heard a small bit of it. I heard a lot of Oscar buzz for this movie. And then I heard it was a Netflix movie. So once I heard it was a Netflix movie, I kind of jumped on it. The minute I heard about it, I went straight into Netflix, added it to my list, and I watched it that night. And I was surprised how incredible this movie was. I started, I think it was about 10:30, 11 when I started it. And I started work at 6 o'clock next morning. So I don't really like to stay up late to watch movies. I stayed up, I think it's 2 hours long, so I stayed up to about 1 in the morning watching it. I couldn't stop it. I thought it was such a phenomenal movie. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson in this movie are just perfect. They definitely deserve the Oscar nomination. I'm still not sure if they deserve to win, but there's a scene in this movie where they're actually fighting, like not physically fighting, they're having a big massive argument, which is not a spoiler because it's a movie about a divorce. But the fight and the whole act, the sequence in this movie, it was very hard to watch just how real it actually felt. So I couldn't get over how well this movie was just put to the screen, and the entire story about this movie, it made me think, and it just made me feel so much for these characters. And coming in at number 9, I've got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. All the trailers, I was very much excited for this movie as well. Quentin Tarantino, and the minute I seen this movie, I was just shocked about how good this movie was. It blew my socks off. I was expecting it to be good, but I really wasn't expecting it to be as good as it actually was. Because this movie, even though not a lot really happens, it does drag on a couple of times. Like my first viewing, this was my third or fourth favorite of the year, but upon rewatch, I've seen it 3-4 times now, and every time it just kind of falls down a little bit. The action sequence at the very end, which I'm not going to spoil for you, but that's by far the best thing. I was laughing the entire time throughout that. I didn't expect that in this kind of movie. But the whole other element of this movie, where you get Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, they're just kind of driving around, hanging around Hollywood. It's really good to just see these actors and characters just going around Hollywood. It's just enjoying life. It's something that it's a 2.5 hour movie, and it's something that shouldn't work. But just because the way Quentin Tarantino directed it and written it, it just works surprisingly, it works really, really well for me. And coming in at number 8, I've got Knives Out. Just like Marriage Story and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, these are movies, like Knives Out, I knew it was coming out. I heard a lot of good things about it, so I was like, okay, I'll go see it. And the trailers didn't really intrigue me that much. The poster did though, with Daniel Craig, Jamie Lee Curtis and Chris Evans. I'm like, yeah, I want to see that. And this movie, it actually blew my socks off. I was so intrigued this entire movie. I wasn't expecting to be as intrigued as it actually was. I don't really want to get into much about this movie, because I think not knowing much is probably the best thing you can for this movie, because a lot of the elements I didn't know what was going to happen. I was just so happy to kind of go through this mystery with our characters, even though some stuff didn't go as planned, which I'm really glad, because usually not watching a lot of movies, you're able to predict how movies are going to happen or how they're going to end. And being in this movie, I wasn't able to predict that at all. So I was really happy that I was able to go into a movie and not know how the final outcome was going to happen. Just this movie, all the characters were great, the story was great, the whole like the background, the setting, and everything in this movie. It was just, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I'm looking forward to getting that Blu-ray and actually sitting down and watching it, seeing if I can piece it together, see if anything else really hints at what's going to happen as well. My girlfriend really wants to see this movie. And coming in at number 7, I've got Frozen 2. Coming into this movie, I didn't really know what to expect. The trailers intrigued me, but not a massive amount. I hadn't heard any of the songs, which I try not to do for Disney movies, so I didn't know what the music was going to be like. But in going off Wreck-It Ralph 2 last year, which I thought was a massive disappointment, and I didn't really like that movie so much, I didn't know what to expect, because this is another Disney sequel. I'm like, okay, well, please, will this be good? Please be good. I'm very happy to report that this movie is phenomenal. I've seen it twice now. I think on the second time, I'm starting to think I actually like this movie a lot more than the first, because the story, it seems just a lot more epic. It's good because we don't have to learn who these characters are. We know who they are. We're just being thrown straight into the action. The music in this movie as well, I think, is a lot better, because in the first movie, all the music is different. None of them the same, but this movie has a very similar tone throughout all the movies, throughout all the songs, which kind of helps tie all the songs together. So if you listen to them in the soundtrack, it just kind of works a lot better, rather than the first movie where the soundtrack is kind of all over the place. So I'm thinking, upon reflection, I think this movie could be better than the first. And coming in at number 6, I've got Doctor Sleep. When it came to Doctor Sleep, I was intrigued, but I didn't really actually care about the movie. Of course, I wanted to see it because I've seen The Shining. I'm not a massive fan of The Shining, but I think it's good. I never really have an ambition to go see The Shining again. So when it came to Doctor Sleep, I was like, okay, I'll go see it. But I was very, very surprised how much I actually really enjoyed this movie. It is very long. There's a lot of gruesome scenes. A lot of scenes I actually didn't expect. Especially as a scene with a child that I really did not expect to see this in this movie. But other than that, this movie, it really, really surprised me. I thought it was incredible. I really do want to watch this movie again. Like, I'd rather watch, if I had a choice between Doctor Sleep and The Shining, I think I could do Doctor Sleep more. Because The Shining, sometimes Stanley Kubrick, I do enjoy his movies, but sometimes they can drag out a good bit. I'm not a massive fan of all of his movies. Like, I can't, none of them are coming to the top of my head now, but there's a few of the movies. I think 2001 Space Odyssey, I'm pretty sure that was him. But I couldn't click with that movie at all. And The Shining is one of those where I think it's good, but it's just I can't click with it. Where Doctor Sleep, I think maybe it was Hugh McGregor. I'm a massive fan of him, so maybe just seeing him in the movie really helped me a good bit. But I just thought that Doctor Sleep, the story itself was phenomenal. I really do. I'm very intrigued to watch it again, and I wonder if we'll ever get a sequel to it. Because I think there's more of a sequel possibility to Doctor Sleep than I ever got from The Shining. And coming in number 5, got El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. This movie, as well, it shocked me. Because I think we heard rumblings, I didn't actually believe it. And then we got a trailer. Oh crap, we're getting a Breaking Bad movie. So when we first got that first trailer, I rewatched the entire series. And I think rewatching the entire series made this movie like 20 times better for me. Because just seeing Jesse's story starting in Breaking Bad episode 1 and ending here, it just felt like such a good conclusion to his character. It's something I never expected to get. I never really thought about getting anything after Breaking Bad. I always thought, oh, it'd be cool to see something, but I never thought we'd see what actually happened with Jesse. In my opinion, I always thought that he just got away. I thought he just, because they seen he was in torture, they said, let's just let him away with that. Even though, upon reflection, that makes no sense. Why would they do that? But that's just something I always assumed that's what happened with Jesse's character. So to see that it wasn't easy for him to get away, that everything that he went through to be happy, it was never easy. Everything just very difficult, and it made a lot more sense to watch it this way, and I really enjoyed it. Aaron Paul coming back as Jesse Pinkman was great. It's like he's aged a bit, but not a massive amount. So he kind of looks like there is other people. Like, I don't know the actor's name. The guy who plays Taj. That kind of took me out of the movie a good bit, especially after coming right from season 5, going into the movie. I thought that was really weird and really off-putting. But Jesse himself, it just felt like it was just the next day, or even not even the next day, the next moment in Jesse's life, because it just felt like such a perfect continuation. I wouldn't imagine they're ever going to do anything else with Jesse or anyone else in the Breaking Bad universe. I don't know what's going to happen with Better Call Saul, which is incredible. If you haven't seen it, why aren't you watching it? But I don't think there's anyone else that after Jesse that I actually really am intrigued to see what happens next. Maybe we can get a thing with Skylar and all them, but I don't think that'd be very interesting to actually see. And coming in at number 4, I've got Spider-Man Far From Home. After seeing it in cinema, I said this is my favourite Spider-Man movie. I watched it, I think, 2-3 days ago, and it's still my favourite Spider-Man movie. Mysterio in this movie is such an intriguing villain, even though I didn't think we can get a more intriguing villain than Michael Keaton's Vulture, but Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio is phenomenal. The whole Tony Stark background aspects of this movie I thought were great. It's a great way of remembering Tony Stark, but even though he's in your face, it's not really like shoving him in his face, even though he's in this movie a lot. It's just, it doesn't feel like, it's not too much. I'm thinking the continuation of what Spider-Man does next is great. Happy Hogan being a very much more prominent character in this movie than he was in Homecoming, I thought was very good as well. And the whole aspect that they were traveling around, adding Nick Fury and everything into this movie, I really enjoyed seeing Peter Parker really grow. In the first movie he was learning and he wasn't the best. In this movie he's still not the best, he's still learning, but he's just improving so much. And I just think Tom Holland as Spider-Man is by far my favourite Spider-Man. I'm really glad he's still in the MCU. I imagine there'll be more deals after that. I don't think after 3 that's it. I want to see more. I think everyone wants to see more. I think Sony and Disney know that, so they're going to make a deal, and I really do want to see Tom Holland playing Spider-Man for as long as he can. And coming in at number 3, I've got Joker. When I first heard they were doing a Joker movie, I was like, what the fuck are they thinking? But this movie is incredible. I didn't watch any of the trailers. I seen like one that kept playing over and over in the cinema before other movies. But other than that, I didn't really want to follow the marketing because I didn't know what this movie was, so I wanted to go in surprised. And this movie, as I was watching it, I was like, I don't think I like this. But then it just got better, and I seen the second time, I'm like, no, this movie is something special. The whole sequence at the end on the talk show, that was just, it kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker is I haven't gone back to watch The Dark Knight since seeing this movie, so I don't know how he compares to Heath Ledger. But at the moment, as me saying this right now, he is my favorite Joker. I don't want a sequel. I imagine we will get a sequel, but I really don't want a sequel. I just think how this ended. There's just so many possibilities of what your mind can imagine. I don't want I don't want them to physically tell me what happened. I know they probably won't touch into Batman, but I don't want to see this Joker with Batman. But this Joker itself, like the whole story of this movie, how seeing him just slowly everything knocking him over the edge, putting him to be crazy, and that laugh. I heard that going into this movie, Joaquin Phoenix was getting people's laughing from that condition that he had in the movie. I heard he was just taking their laughter from it and taking their pain. I didn't know he was actually going to do that. So as he was laughing, I was like, why the fuck is he just laughing like that? And as it played out, it made a lot more sense. And that laugh, even though it's funny and it's weird and creepy to hear, you can just see the fear in his eyes as he's laughing. And just like my mom said, she felt so much compassion and so much feelings towards him. I felt so bad for him throughout this movie. I didn't. Like, I felt bad for him, but I didn't feel like the way she was, because she doesn't know the Joker. She doesn't know all what he does. But knowing Batman lore and everything, I know that he is a horrible person. What he does is horrible, and this is his origin story. It's very sad, but if you know what's to come, like, okay, yeah, he's an asshole. And coming in at number 2 is Avengers Endgame. Avengers Endgame, it's a phenomenal movie. It's a phenomenal movie in that it caps off 11 years of films, which brings, I think it was 23 movies at this stage. I think it's 24 now with SpiderMan. But this movie, it just capped off every one of them perfectly. Like, it had so many storylines to wrap up. Like, it wrapped up Iron Man's, it wrapped up Cap's, it wrapped up Black Widow's, all perfectly. It sets up, like, if this was the end of it, you could be satisfied, but it's not. Because you know there's going to be more of the Guardians. It sets up the Guardians really well. It sets up Thor really well. It sets up Spider-Man really well, because now, like, his mentor is gone. It sets off so many people so well. And it's just, even though it could be taken as an end point where a lot of people are treating this as the end game and not continuing on from this point, but there still is a lot more to continue on. So the movie caps off it perfectly, but it also continues on really well. The third act in this movie, it shocked me. Every single time Captain America says Avengers Assemble, I get the biggest smile on my face. Like, without a doubt, if I was watching that scene right now, I would still get the biggest grin, even though at this stage I've probably seen that scene alone 100 times, because I kept putting it in YouTube just to see that one thing, and like every time I just get the biggest smile. This movie, every time I watch it, I just can't help but smile. The first 2 acts, even though they are really good and really enjoyable, they do kind of drag the first, after, I think I've seen this movie 10 times in total. It drags the first 2 acts. The third act never drags, but upon rewatching the first 2 acts, because there's not many action sequences, like there's a few very small ones sprinkled throughout, but even though, because there's not, the first 2 acts can be very slow, and they're a bit like, a lot of them, they're not like the way It Chapter 2 is, the way all our characters going to get the same artifact and it's very rinse repeat. It can be that way where they're getting a stone. All of them are getting stones, but they're very different. None of them have any similarities whatsoever, bar the fact that they're getting stones. So that's the only similarity between these 3 that kind of are all these 6 scenarios where can feel the same. But other than that, it's a completely fresh movie, and I love to watch this movie. It's not one like you can't really put. It's not one that I could put on at 12 at night and sit there for 3 in the morning. If that was the case, I would skip to the end action sequence, because I think the first 2 acts, especially at night, I think it could put you to sleep if you're tired already. But the third action sequence is by far, it's one of those action sequences I could put on any time, and it keep me smiling. And coming in at number 1, people are probably sick of me saying it because it comes in at the top of every one of my rankings I've done lately, but it's Toy Story 4. I adore this movie. It's my favorite of the year. It's my favorite no, it's not. It's my favorite Disney movie of the year. It's one of my favorite Pixar movies. It's one of my favorite anime movies. It's up there in probably my top 5 anime movies of all times, because I love this movie. Seeing the continuation of Woody's story to this point where everyone says it ended perfectly in Toy Story 3, why bother? But Andy's story ended in Toy Story 3, not Woody's. Woody felt, you could tell by him he was lost, he didn't know what to do, and it continued on this story perfectly to see what would Woody do next. It very much is a parent after their child has moved out and not knowing what to do, and what they did in the story, I adore. All the new characters, like I've got Ducky and Bunny here, which were absolutely hilarious. You've got Forky, you've got Duke Boom. I'm not a massive fan of what they've done with Buzz, because I do prefer Buzz over Woody. So if they were to do a 5th Toy Story, I would prefer if they follow Buzz and just see a bit more Buzz, because he's very much been sidelined since Toy Story 1. So I'd love to see a bit more with Buzz. But what they did with Woody and what they did with Bo, I really do love. I love that Woody is actually with Bo now, and that he's happy. I don't like, looking back on it, I don't like what they did. The fact that it kind of twists what happened in Toy Story 2, where Woody said he'd love to be with Buzz till the end of time, but now he's with Bo. It kind of showed him that he was with Buzz, but just be reunited with Bo, because you see at the opening scene when he was very much debating actually going with Bo, and you could tell by him he's regretted it ever since. Even that line in Toy Story 3 where he gets all upset when Rex mentions Bo, it means a lot coming back to that, saying yeah, he was very much debating going. Like if Andy didn't come out, he might have actually gone with Bo, and to see that now he's actually with Bo, I just think it's an amazing way to cap off the whole saga, if you want to call it a saga. I wouldn't mind a fifth one, because I love these characters. I'd love to see more of them, just because it could be greedy for me. I think a lot of people are kind of happy with this point. I just want to see more, because I just adore these characters, and I love every time it's a Toy Story movie. I just get so excited. Like, I remember going to see Toy Story 3. I remember going to see Toy Story 4. I've seen Toy Story 1 cinema. I would love to one day see Toy Story 2 in cinema. I think it's just good. This franchise, I've grown up with it. I adore these characters, and I would just like, my brother is just my brother's in love with them at the moment, so they're constantly on in my house. So Toy Story 4 is just, I love it. He's watched it so many times. That was the first movie I got to take him to see in the cinema, and he adored it the entire time. He was amazed by it the entire time. He's holding his Woody throughout the entire movie. I just think Toy Story 4 for me is just, personally, it's my favourite of the year, and every time it's on, I just want to sit down and watch it. I actually, talking about it now, I'm very much debating going down, putting the 4K in, and just sitting down and watching Toy Story 4. So that's my top 10 favourite movies of 2019. You've probably got a completely different list than me, so let me know what your list is down below, because everyone's going to have a different opinion. If everyone had that list, it'd be kind of boring, and they'd know what movies to make, and they kind of rinse and repeat a lot throughout all the years. So it's good that everyone has a completely different take on what movies are good. So let me know what your list is down below. Click that subscribe button to see other movie reviews, rankings, and hauls. I'm going to be doing a lot more rankings throughout this week of favourite of the whole decade, biggest surprises this year, biggest disappointments. If you want to see all that kind of stuff, click that subscribe button. And as always, thanks for watching.